I'm going to talk today about developing apps for the Android mobile phone. And the activity we're going to be using was developed by people in BCS Women. And explicitly, it was developed to try and set a world record for the greatest number of people simultaneously learning to program mobile apps for the Android. And so the workshop will be working through, and Louise and I both ran events at our respective universities as part of this record-breaking attempt. I had 50 people at Greenwich, all developing apps, and I hope by the end of the session today you will have all developed an app. Now, this is an interactive workshop, and if you have a laptop or a tablet, we expect you to take part in developing an app during the workshop. If you don't have one, maybe you could try and sit next to someone who does. So if you have a laptop or a tablet with a web browser, could you raise your hand, please? So if you don't have one, you might want to move close to someone who does. And the other thing is, so there's a chap here in the front who has one. Do you have a laptop? Yes, so a laptop there, a tablet there. So if you want to find someone who you can share with, that would be great. So let's build an app. But before we get started, I'm not going to do more introductions because we've already had a wonderful introduction. I want to point out the chap at the back said I'm the first person who's mentioned the fire escapes, but I give this talk at my university. I'm obliged to tell people where the fire escapes are. Out the door, you see the green light, and out the door to the outside. And the toilets are outside off the foyer area. So we've done the intros, so I'm going to get on with telling you a little bit more. So it's, as I said, hands-on. We will be developing an app. It's a mix of talk and a bit of play, programming and thinking. We want it to be interactive. If you have a question, go ahead and ask it at any time. As I tell my students, the more questions you ask, the more you will learn. Normally we have a few more helpers, but Louise and I are happy to help. But also, as you're sharing laptops and tablets, you can help each other. I'll try not to talk for long periods because we really would like you to be developing an app. However, if anything I say isn't clear, just let me know. Now, hands up. Who has an Android device? Great. Well, you may be in demand later because hopefully we'll all have apps that can be downloaded and run. As we're going to be working in small groups or pairs, if you don't have it, don't panic, we can share. I've brought 2 Android devices with me, a tablet and a Samsung Android phone, and Louise has some as well. So, hands up if you like computer games. Do you like using computers for drawing and art? Have you used Word? Okay. Have you written a web page? Good. Have you done any programming using Scratch? Great. All right. Well, we may incorporate you into the team as an extra tutor. The system we're going to be programming with has been developed at MIT. It's open source. It's freely available. and it's related to the Scratch programming system. Have you done any programming in a higher level language like Java, etc.? Right, well then you'll find this easy exercise, hopefully. So the first thing we need to do is get our technology in place, and this is the IED, the development environment that we're going to be using. But before I go into that, I'll just talk a little bit more about the Android. On your mobile phone, the software that runs when you turn the phone on that actually facilitates the running of all the apps on your phone is called the operating system. And on many phones, this is one of the major mobile operating systems that's available. It's a derivative of the Linux system, which in turn was related to the Unix system. So it has a history of being an open source system. And because it's open, anyone can write programs for it. And another key thing to bear in mind is that you don't need an Android to write programs for the Android. And the IDE that we'll be using is accessible through the World Wide Web. So you'll be fine with your iPad, except you won't be able to run your app on the iPad. But we'll explain what you can do with it. So I already asked if you have an Android, and many people don't even realize that they have an Android. There's a group called the Open Handset Alliance, and here are some of the manufacturers who support the Android mobile operating system. And the other thing that we have available to you, so I said we'll be programming our apps using a web browser, but we've also got a USB stick where we have made available some extra resources that you can use when you're developing your apps. So these are available on a USB, and we're going to be developing apps. So I know a lot of you said you are interested in art, etc. So we're going to be developing an app that incorporates images and sounds. So it could be further developed into some kind of game or amusement app. And these are on the USBs that Louise is going to make available to everyone. Yes, you might as well. So on the USB there are folders, activity 1, activity 2, etc. And these are the resources that we'll be using during the app development. Now, before we get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about AppInventor. The inventors of AppInventor have said that their goal was to create an application development environment where anyone could develop a simple app within 1 hour. So hopefully we'll demonstrate that today. But in general, it provides a quick and easy way to build apps. You can build the app for yourself, and then you can share it with your friends. It lets you use all the facilities of your phone, the screen, the camera, the messaging, the GPS, the acceleron, and that's to detect, that's a facility on your phone which you may have never used, but it detects motion. So on some phones you shake the phone and it reacts to it, etc. And later on, if you decide to develop this side of things, you can publish your own apps to the Google Play Store. You do have to pay a small amount of money, but it is very minimal compared to the Apple App Store. I'm going to pass that by. Now, on your device, whether you have a laptop or a tablet, you need to open the AppInventor software. And I put the URL up here, ai2.appinventor.mit.edu. And if you're lazy like me, you can just Google for MIT AppInventor and click through. So has everyone got that up on their laptop or tablet? Or if you're working together? Yeah. Does anyone want help?
Yeah, is it possible to get the wireless password?
Yeah, the wireless password here is in small letters, JHIT conference. So you should get the AppInventor webpage up. And you'll see a button that says Create. Now the key thing is that in order to use this freely available open source software, you do have to have a Gmail account. The reason you have to have a Gmail account is that AppInventor will store the app that you develop, so you can do further work on it, in your Gmail account. If you don't have one, it's very simple to create one. Just go to the Gmail page and follow the instructions will help you. And don't worry about it, you can delete your account afterwards if you never wish to use it. However, if you want to carry on doing development, any apps that you develop will be stored for you in your Google account. So now, is everyone in AppInventor? Is there anyone who needs help setting up with their Gmail account, their Google account?
Yeah, I'm just my brother's just thinking about something.
Yeah, I think the internet isn't very fast.
Oh, right, okay. We're probably stressing the internet a bit, but I'm being assured that it's, are you okay in the front row here? Good. I'm afraid this is a bit hard on the filming, but I'll have to move around a little to see how people are doing. Are you okay?
Yeah,
Oh, you're waiting, yeah.
Then it links.
AppInventor, and you see at the top, there's like create
That
app.
webpage up, then it'll.
Yeah, create app.
Pardon?
Pardon?
There was internet earlier.
It's just slow.
Sorry.
Are you guys okay? Good. So have you got the little create app up? Oh, you've already brought it up, okay.
It doesn't work with Explorer, does it?
It is better with Chrome or with Firefox. Yeah. But it's working okay with Safari if you have an iPad. A Windows phone? Oh my goodness. You're brave. Or just share with someone else. The lady next to you, what are you using, an iPad? iPad, you're okay, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. All right. I see you're moving ahead. Yeah. Of course, there are instructions in the booklet, but I'll just move on a little bit and we can come back and help people who are having problems. What about AppInventor? I'm just going to give you the big picture. It's got two parts. And the first part is where you design what the user sees, the display. So that's like, you know, the front of the car. And the back part is the blocks editor. That's where we write the program that will interact with the user through the display. So, you know, that's where we go under the bonnet and actually develop our program. So in the main menu, there's a menu of things you can choose to include in your app. And then you can lay things out on your screen. That's when the app runs, what the user will see on their mobile phone. You can set the color and position of things, etc. Now, behind the scenes, so we show the user the display, but behind the scenes, our program will run. And then we have options for developing the code of our program and then connecting to phones and tablets. In the exercise, when we get a program, we can build the program. We can then generate a QR code so that people can point their mobile phone at the screen and download our program directly. Or we can save it to a file on our tablet or PC, and we can email it to people. So even the chap at the back who has a Windows phone, you can email it to your friends who have Androids, and they can run it on their Android phone. There is another option which we'll be happy to help you with, and that is you can load an emulator on your PC. I don't think you can load it on your Windows phone. And that is a program that brings up a mobile phone front display on your PC and will emulate a mobile phone running your program. That's a little bit more of a complicated option, but it is straightforward when you're at running your laptop or tablet where you have good internet connections. So let's look at the designer screen. This is when you open when you've chosen a name for your program, your project, and you can, this is the first screen that is open to you. There's a little palette here of the things that you can put into your app, and we're going to be putting a button in, etc. And then you actually can view what's on the screen in the main part of the designer window. And also you can get a list of all the components. So if you want to work on a particular component, you want to change the image associated with it, etc., you can do so by selecting it and then viewing its properties. So here's where you select things that you want to work on. Once they're on the screen, they become components in your app. You select them and you can alter their properties. So we'll be going through that in the exercise. Now, that only sets up what the user sees. It doesn't actually give any instructions for the computer and your mobile phone to carry out any actions. So this is where we come to the blocks editor. And this is where we write the program that will control what happens when the app is run. And it has a lot of built-in blocks, and those of you who are programmers will recognize it has control. So you can see here a classic if statement that allows you to build a branch into your program. Logic, math, text, etc. And it does a little bit of checking for you, so you don't have to run your program to find out if you've made an error in setting up your blocks. It actually checks them before you run it. So I'm not going to go into detail about the blocks because you can consult this in the booklet we've given you. But I've already talked about the control blocks, logic. We know that's important because even in the control, we have to have some kind of logical expression that if it's true, we will do this action. If it's false, we will do this other action. Of course, we might want to carry out some math. If you're a math phobic, don't worry, we won't be doing any math today. And then when we're working in computers, we often want to store values and recall them later, and we have a facility for doing that. And when we have a storage area where we store something and use it later, and we can store different values in it, we call that a variable. So that's a storage location that can hold variable different values. And there are other colored blocks which have to do with the properties of buttons. So here's an example. We want to set the background color of our screen. You can try these out, but in the initial app, we won't be doing any fancy things with the color of the screen. Now, how does it all fit together? Well, you have to design the front end. In other words, the user has to see something when your app runs. You have to have some code behind it because there's no good just showing the user something. You actually have to have some code that will interact with the user. And once you've got your front end and back end set up, you're ready to run your program on the mobile phone. And you can either run it on the emulator if you don't have a mobile phone. I'm not sure how well the mobile emulator runs on an iPad, but hopefully we can maybe test that out. But it is quite easy to build the app and download it to an Android phone, and then you can run it directly. So, you should all have a window in your browser open. You know about the blocks editor. You know about the display editor. And the way you move between those, there are little buttons at the top, tabs. One says display and one says blocks, I think.
Top right.
Top right. Yeah? That's how you move between them. Okay, if you've got both, we're good to go. If not, put your hand up and we'll come around and help you. Whoops. It doesn't like me. Pardon?
I'm missing one of the buttons.
What one are you missing? Oh, that's Pardon? You're good. You're good. Okay. Pardon?
It's companion.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one to run. Yeah. You looked okay. What does it have up? Just go to that URL I gave earlier. There you are. You're good.
That's okay.
You're good, yeah? Okay, are you guys okay? You're fast learners. How are you doing back here? Pardon? Oh, I don't know, a couple hundred maybe. And they have very stringent checking. Yeah, yes, yeah. It's not open source. Okay. We've got a little booklet now that we want you to work through. So we're going to do activity 1. Oops. Making your first app. And in the resources, there are 2 pictures of a cat under activity 1. This is your first big design decision. You can inspect these pictures and choose which cat you want to present to your users. So there's this marmalade cat, or this unusually bug-eyed looking cat. The gray cat. So I think now it is probably useful if you all choose a name for your project, whatever you wish, yeah? And then open your booklet and start stepping through, because sometimes when I run this activity, I have a laptop. Well, I guess I could move over to the laptop and work with you. It's probably better if you work through the booklet now. So one of the first things you have to do is design your screen, and the only thing we're going to put on the screen is a button. So if you move a button from the palette onto your screen, onto the display, yes? And then you'll need to look at the properties of that button, and we want to upload one of the cat pictures to go on the button. So when you've done that, you should have on your display the button with a picture of the cat on it. How are you doing? Oh no, don't give up. All right, okay. It's all explained kind of step by step. So did you put the button on? Yeah. Now look at the properties, yeah, of your button. And you need to upload an image off the USB. Yeah. No. Image, yeah. Upload. So now yeah. Activity 1. No, they can, it's easier if they,
Oh, is it just that?
oh, you've already got it. You just do build, and then you can save it to a file and email it to yourself, or, yeah, I'm doing that rather than the other. Which cat have you chosen? Okay, that's it, yes.
Just uploading.
Yeah, no, you just have to wait, it's a bit slow. Did you do it?
That's what I'm hoping to.
All right. Okay. Oh, yeah, oh, you can't, yeah. So, yeah, you could. Yes, yeah. Yeah, do put it from there to there and then to there. There, fabulous. Now, you may not want that text, yeah? So you need to go to the properties and just to erase that. I mean, that's a kind of refinement. Yeah. Okay. Yeah? Yeah. Where's the, let's see where you uploaded the image. No, it goes from here. Image. Okay, there it is. Okay. What cat did you choose? Oh. It's coming. Now that's something a little refinement. You can remove that text. Yeah, you don't want your cat. Pardon? Then you could, yeah. Okay. Is it? How many people have got a cat on their display?
I've just gotten the screen. I've given you a name.
Pardon?
That's how far.
You got the button. Okay, look at the button properties. Oh wait, you haven't put a button on your screen yet.
Right.
So you select a button, click on it, and drag and drop it onto the screen. Is that a button? Okay, good. And now you've got the button, go down the properties, and look, there's no image, but we want to associate an image with it, so click on that, and upload a file. Okay, so browse and find the picture of the cat you want from activity 1. So did you put that USB in? Yeah. Okay, now activity 1. Select the cat that you want. Okay. Are you guys happy with that? So you've got that, now press OK. And I will upload it. You have to wait a while. But we should get a picture of the cat up. Now, the second thing that we need on the display is something that we can't see, but it is a key to the interaction with the user. We've got our button with the cat on it, and when the user clicks on the button, we want to play a cat sound. So we need to move a sound onto the screen. Yeah? And the sounds are on your USB stick, and you need to follow through. So you need to go to Media. And we want to connect a file.
Do you have any ideas? And you get the same.
What does it say about putting the sound on? Click on the image. Okay, that's doing the text. Okay, click on media and drag the sound over to the screen. So when you clicked on media, all right, drag the sound over to the screen. Okay, now we don't see the sound on the screen, but we see it below. Now look at the properties for the sound, and you need to associate a file now that contains that sound. So go to the file, and yes, and the meow sound. On the USB, there are lots of sounds, and when we run this activity with kids, sometimes they like to make the cat roar like a lion, etc. But we'll stick to meow for the first go. Yeah? Pardon? You go to Bill. Yeah? Oh, you've moved ahead. Okay. So on the display we should have picture of the cat and the meow sound. Now we're going to go to the blocks editor. So hit block, and I don't have a slide for this, but I'll talk you through it. We're going to create what's called an event-driven program. So if you follow through the instructions, in an event-driven program, all we do is we specify when a particular event occurs, what action we want to be carried out. And in our case, it's when the button is clicked, play the meow sound. So that is very simple. So remember when I was talking about properties of in the blocks? So it's the button that we're interested in. And if you look down in the blocks editor, things that you can do with the button, you'll see a when block. So this is a fairly typical aspect. I see someone has already got their program running. This is good feedback for me, because when I hear the meows, I know it's running. When you have this kind of event-driven program, this is what you get, say, on your microwave. When you turn your microwave on, it's just in a little loop. When these buttons are pressed, do these actions. So this is a very simple program, but it is a very common control loop that we get in many apps. So if anyone wants help setting up their blocks, I'll come around, or Louise can come around. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, we put the sound.
You got the sound? Okay, now move to the blocks.
So just
Blocks, yep. Now you haven't got anything in there, yep. Now go down to your button.
Yeah. And move it.
No, click on it. Now there are different things that you can do with the button.
Okay.
When the button is clicked, do, yeah? So move that into your blocks area.
Okay. So move this.
Yes.
When the button is on this one, yeah, but
Move that into your blocks area. Okay, so you've got it, yep. Have you got the little booklet? Because it's all explained in there. Yep. Yeah. So we're here, yeah? So, right, yeah? And now the next thing we want to do is, yeah? Drag the sound play into the gap, yeah? Sound play. Yeah, and click it inside there. It should just click in. Yeah, and that's your program. Right? Now you're ready to build your program. Yeah, go back to block. Sorry, design. Okay, I can't upside down to you. You need to have a little bit. No, do you see what we want? I can't see. Is there some way you can go right up to the top here? Yeah, good. Do you see that build?
Yes.
Okay. So you need to go right up, when you've got your blocks editor and you've added, have you done that? Yes, and have you gone to build? And, oh, you've got it running. Oh, fabulous, well done. Now, that's a challenge for you to build. Either make a different sound. There's a lion, you can make it roar like a lion. You can make it bark like a dog. You can change the picture. You can have a picture of a dog, a picture of a lion. They're all on your USB. Great, well done. Have you got it running? Oh, you can connect in here. There's there's a password for the Wi-Fi. Oh, right. Oh. Have you guys got it running?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're on that point, yeah. So we want to do an action, yes, on the button, yeah? So click on the button here, yeah? And look, so when the button is clicked, so move that into the screen. Good, okay. Now, when the button is clicked, what we want to do is play the sound. So now look at sound. Yep. Okay, and play. So you click that in, and that's your program. Click it, yeah, click it right up. Yep, it clicks right in. Good. See, that's kind of like no problems. If it doesn't, yeah. Okay, now you can build that. Have you got an Android phone? Oh, you use the BlackBerry, and you don't have an Android. You don't have any battery. Oh, you can check. There's a guy behind you. Do you have an Android? Maybe he can run. Oh, you've got the app running.
I don't drag.
I know click build.
Yeah, you can.
Save it. So it's just
Yes. Yes, yeah. Or you can take my phone. I've got a. You're a brave man. You want? I wonder if we. I was just wondering if we can. No, I'm sorry. Work with this chap. And have you got an Android phone? Yeah. So if you work together, you could download the app from his onto your phone. Have you got an Android? No. Well, this is a marriage made in heaven. You can do this on a bigger PC.
Yes, I see that.
Yeah, why don't you work together? Is that okay? Yeah. So he knows, he's got it mostly working on his phone, but he can't get it going. Hello, how you guys doing?
Well, the next thing to do was go to build.
You've done a build, yeah?
You gotta click on it, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Now, have you got an Android phone?
well,
Is that, what's it running? Oh, I think it is an Android phone, isn't it? Yeah. Have you got a QR reader on it? You know, where you point it to that funny black and white, those funny black and white figures? No, you probably don't. Have you got email on your phone? Okay, so just save it on this.
save it, yeah.
Save it to a file and then email it to her and she'll be able to run it on her phone.
Okay, right. So save it to the file, yeah.
Yeah.
So is it, save it to my computer?
Yeah.
Okay, I've done that already actually. So
Okay.
so you should have this on my downloads.
I think so. I don't know where it saves it. Probably there. It's the APK file.
Okay, so if I just do a search for APK.
Yeah.
Search.
It's a .apk.
Okay, I call it happy.
So do you know how to email a file?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm just, don't. How are you guys doing up here?
I was just wondering, every time I send it, I have to read the app, I have to reinstall
Okay.
Yes.
We'll just open, like run the app.
No, once you put it on your phone, it's there forever.
Okay, if I update the app here.
Then you have to send a new version, yeah. Now, there is something that you can do that makes it easier to connect your development PC to your phone
Yeah.
when you're doing, and it's explained in the booklet, I think, so you can follow that up. Yeah.
And this only, what language would this be?
Well,
Just temporary downloads.
this blocks language is actually compiled down to something that executes directly on the Android phone. Yeah. So but we don't see the language.
It's only event-driven as well.
No, it is procedural. It's just that we're doing an event-driven. Yeah. Oh no, that's why you saw all the ifs. Yeah, you can look at lots more examples. Yeah.
Well, yeah, can I make this kind of bigger or like will it take full screen?
Yeah, you should be able to resize things. So, I don't know if heighten, yeah. Okay. So, if you've got a cat meowing, you might want to look at activity 2 and you might want to create a dog app. So to give equal time to dogs and cats. So on my tablet, I have Hello Purr and Hello Barker. So also you might want to consider making your phone vibrate. So that is like the cat purring. So that's when the buttons click, play the meow, and also vibrate the phone. But you could also think about creating a whole grid of animal pictures on different screens and playing different sounds depending on which button the person pressed. And there are a lot more examples in the booklet that you can do to create your own apps. You know, very exciting things like putting up a picture of your friend and drawing a mustache on them, whatever. But even a very simple development that you could do that would allow you to like send personal greetings to your friends. You could put a picture of yourself up and then record on your phone a little message. So I had the idea to send a personal birthday card to a friend, so I put up my picture and I sang happy birthday on the sound. So that, and then I emailed them this to run on their phone. So these are just simple things that you can try.
Do you have an option for video as well?
Pardon?
Do you have option for video?
Look under the media. I'm not sure.
Would the file extension have essentially 3 pictures?
Yeah. Maybe not in this app, but look under media if it allows you to upload a video.
Now, can you send it to my email address?
Oh, is that the
If
one
you take a long
for
time,
dog?
okay.
That's why it's not arrived yet then.
It's taking a long time. It's taking a long time.
Alright, so I just had another question. I know you can extend the functionality of this, so could I have it so that it sends commands without hesitating and press a button?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Also, is there a way of getting program as soon as you open the application on the phone, the code runs without you needing to press a button to start? Is that also like, I don't know, like a big basic?
Yes, yeah, but that's, you just have that program, you know, it will then execute sequentially. Yeah. I can show you. This is my Android tablet, which is quite old. So at my university. Oh, I want to get rid of that. So for International Women's Day, I created that app. So if you touch one of the buttons in it, it tells you a bit about the person, you know, and then you can go back. So you can also have like a back button. Button backwards as well. So you know that I used to grid. Yeah. So you might think this is you know, fairly simple app, but a few years ago on The Apprentice, one of the winning teams made an app where they had played animal sounds. And that was just like a simple thing, you know, that you could do to annoy people in meetings or whatever. And, you know, that was, and they didn't actually develop the app. Lord Sugar laid on a programmer to do it for them, but they did design it. Yes, I had to use a different, I'll show you. So I'm showing an app that I developed where I've got lots of pictures on the screen. When they click, I go to a new screen. Yeah, I have different screens with those texts on them. When I was developing that, I hit upon a limitation that if you try and have too many screens open, AppInventor doesn't like it. But that was okay. Yes, but when I tried to extend it, it wasn't. And I should have like rethought it, you know, like had a database and blah, 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 which you can do. Yeah, so there are lots more facilities in AppInventor than we've really been exposing you to. So there is a lot of scope, and you can develop quite nice apps. So the other thing is that on the website at MIT, you can share your apps with other users, but you can also download apps that other people have created and are sharing. So this is all part of the open source philosophy to make your software freely available and share it with others. I'm going to go back.
Yeah, no.
I think you've all, I'm just going back to review a little bit about what you did. When you have got your app ready, you can build it. You can either generate a QR code or save it to a file, and I think some people have done the QR code route, some people have done the save file. If you save it to a file, that means you can email it to all your friends who have Android phones. And then you can install it on your phone. Now, most people have got their phones set up so they don't accept apps from any old source, so you may have to say this is a good source. The app's coming from a trusted source. I myself. I mentioned this, and you may be interested in this later. Or all these resources and the little booklet, etc. They're all freely available. So if you feel confident now, you could run this workshop for your for your friends or your community or your children. Yeah, great. And if you don't have a mobile phone, you can use this emulator, and then that runs on your PC. It comes up. You can't make calls on it, but it has like the normal functions of a phone. So we did this. We use the blocks editor. Oh, I'm going back. Sorry. Oh, I hear the dog barking in the background. So, one thing that I want to get across to you, a lot of people are learning to program these days, but developing a mobile app is much more fun than writing some little computer program that says hello world. Because a mobile phone has a lot of stuff that normal laptops and computers don't have. So what's special about the mobile? So think about it. Well, it doesn't have a very big screen, but the screens are getting bigger. And there's no mouse pointers, so you have to think about using the finger as an input device. Usually your phone has a camera, and that means you can take pictures and then add them to your apps. And it also has other sensors, so you can find out where people are through the GPS. It has a compass. This accelerometer can detect motion. And the first time I ran the appathon at Greenwich, I had someone in the audience who was a figure skater, and she developed an app in the afternoon. We ran it over a morning and afternoon to count the number of revolutions that the phone made. So she thought when she's figure skating, as she turns around, it will count how many revolutions she's done. I thought that was really clever. Your phone also has wireless, it can vibrate, and you can also make calls on it and send SMS. And you can do that in your app as well. So changing the app, I did suggest that. you could change the sound, and we've got our wonderful dog here ready for Christmas. So you could have him bark, and then you could play a Christmas sound that you could make a online Christmas card to send all your friends who have Android phones. We talked about getting the app onto the phone, and there is a more complex way, which someone asked me about, and it allows you to connect your phone with a computer. So when you're doing a lot of development, you can easily download new versions. So this has been a busy session. You've installed AppInventor, you've made an app following instructions, you've edited the app, you've seen it working on a real phone, and congratulations, you've completed the appathon. Now, for the rest of the session, I'm not sure how much time we have. You've been a very good group. You've already been working in smaller groups. But you might want to think about designing an app of your own and how you would go about doing that. And Louise and I will be happy to help you with that.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, and any questions? Yeah.
So how do we sort of interact with just have database functionalities?
Pardon?
Database, can I?
There's a little database facility with AppInventor. I was showing one of your co-attendees at the front. I made an app at my university for International Women's Day where I put up pictures of 10 women who have been nominated as inspirational women. And the way I did it was I used a lot of screens, but that wasn't very efficient. And a better way to do that is to put the images in a database and the text I wanted to display in the database, and then bring those out, that data out of the database. And that's all available to you. There are lots of resources linked off the AppInventor pages that will explain that. And when I got stuck, and I thought, there's something wrong here, it doesn't like me setting up all these screens. And then I read, oh, well, there is a limit currently of how many screens you can have. It's about 10 screens. And a better solution is to use a database, and then it explained how to do that.
Do you know if it's a relational database or is it just a flat file, no SQL?
No, I don't. I didn't. I decided I'd limit myself to 10 screens and work with that, so I didn't redesign it. But I'm pretty sure it's a fairly simple database. Yeah, I don't think you can do full SQL queries, etc. But check it out. So there are lots of things you can do. There are details in the handout of how you can follow things up. It is one thing that is important. You might find it helpful to get a pencil and paper and draw out how you want things on your screen, do some design work and then plan it rather than just throw things on the display willy-nilly. Yeah, and then also you might want to plan out the logic of your program as well, the different functions you want. Yeah. So this is a simple program for bringing up colored dots and drawing things. There's another program which is kind of for amusement. You know those things where you use a magnet and drag iron filings all over? I don't know. I was born in 1948, so I'm like played in the pre-computing days. Yes, well, that's to like make a modern version of that, where you can have a picture up and draw mustaches, etc. on it, glasses. And here's the code for that. Again, you can see it is a lot of event-driven because it's to interact with the user. Counting. Now, here's a little counting program. So I'm not sure why you would want that. You probably all have a stopwatch on your computer. But there are things that you can try out. So you need to plan. This is all basic programming. You know, the government has a big scheme now to get us all to do computational thinking, and even primary school children to think. And you know, a lot of programming is thinking systematically. So, you know, what do you want your app to do? What will you need in order to achieve that?
Yeah.
So we've given you some extra resources. Another thing that I haven't majored on, but it is a really useful thing, and many people use their mobile phones to play music. And you can also use your app, you can do a music app. So you can, if you're a drummer, etc. And it's up to you. You know, you got your own imagination, but you've also got the internet to call upon. So I've already kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Coding is really a matter of doing it step by step, in my opinion. You know, it's no good like biting off a huge chunk of program and then trying to get it run. It's much better to look at little things that you want to do, assure yourself that you've written the code that will achieve that, and then add in more code. That's what we call an incremental approach. And that is sometimes advocated under the head of agile programming. Yeah. And remember your programs, any apps you develop today, they'll be available to you the next time you log on with your Gmail account or your Google account. Yeah?
You're asking whether we could try and create an app.
Yes.
You know, that we might want to create.
Pardon?
Can I suggest one that we could?
Oh, right, yeah.
An app I'd like to create is an appointment booking system.
Right?
Yeah. For sales, you know, I do a lot of sales work.
Yes.
And I want my clients to have an app to be able to book appointments for me to come and do my sales presentation to them.
Yes.
That's what the app is trying to do. An appointment booking system.
An appointment booking system app.
Yeah, it's an app.
Yes.
Any advice?
Any advice? Well, you'll obviously have to interact with the user to get them to input text. Yes. And maybe rather than interfacing it with a calendar on your phone, you might just want to send an SMS message to you about it, and then you could, so it's not going to do everything, but that would be maybe a simple thing that you could aim for.
So to link the
So to get information
text
from the user of your app, and then take that information which they will type in, yeah, and then send an SMS to yourself. Yeah?
That's good.
You might try that. Okay. Okay, now it's just time for you to do a bit more app development. When I ran this for a longer period, at the end I got people to stand up in groups and demonstrate their apps. So when we get closer to the end, if you have an app you'd like to demonstrate, let me know. And, oh, I don't know if you've been asked about being videoed, and I think only I've been videoed, but if you have any objection to being videoed, you probably should let the organizers know. So, I work at the University of Greenwich, and Louise works at the University of Nottingham, and we do occasionally run workshops at our respective universities. So I run a taster day at the open days at Greenwich, and Louise has run this event for families, or?
I haven't actually done it at Nottingham, I did the one at Warwick.
Oh, you did the one at Warwick, yeah. But you said you ran
I
it
did, yeah, I did one
for
earlier
girls
in
in
the year,
girls in
yeah,
computing, yeah.
Women into
So, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, we're very keen. I'm glad to see we have some women in the audience. We're very keen to get more women into computing because, you know, we're a little bit underrepresented. So I'm glad that we have got a good audience here. And next steps, well, you can actually share your programs online if you wish, and you can read up about that. But you can also easily put your file on a USB and give it to a friend, or you can email it to your friends, etc. And you should bear in mind that people may have to change some settings because most people's mobile phones are set up so not to accept apps from untrusted sources, but you can forewarn your users beforehand that it will be okay to do that. So how about the Google Play Store? You know, these slides are a little old, and I said it's $25 and 15 pounds, but now I'm not sure what the exchange rate is. But you can publish your, you can register for an account and you can publish your app. There's a bit more information about that in the handout. And that means anyone in the world can download it from the Google App Store, the Play Store. Yes, and you can make your fortune. I'm kidding. I think for open source, you know, people are happy if a lot of people download it and give feedback. And that's probably enough satisfaction for people. Yes?
Is that the £50 a one-time fee, or do you have to pay that every time you have?
No, it's a one-time fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still $25.
Is it?
Here? Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the exchange rate now is probably.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
probably different.
Yeah, this was when the pound was, had a better, yeah, it was higher, yeah. Also, like at my university, we've made an account so the students don't have to pay it individually, they can use our university account. So like some, you know, like if you had a company or something, you could do that. We mentioned Scratch, so that's a very simple program for people to learn programming, and it uses the blocks editor, but it doesn't run on mobile phones. It runs on the internet. And then there are other programs that are available, such as Greenfoot, if you wanted to learn Java. And many mobile phone apps are created in Java as well. So we're done. Ignore this. This is when we ran the Guinness World Record. So we had monitors counting all the people. But I think we've done pretty good today to have all of you. So all these slides, all the material on your USB, the little booklet, they're all Creative Commons, they're all open source, so you can reuse it. And you can go to Hannah D's website, Hannah is the lecturer at Aberystwyth who created the lesson that we've been using for the Appathon. Good. Well, that finishes my formal talk. We're happy for you to stay around and do more app development. How many of you feel that you could confidently program a new app now? Great. So I look forward to seeing your apps in the App Store in the future. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.